Whoa, is this thing on? Look at this funky robot. Okay, testing out the DJI Osmo and the wireless mic. Anyway, different kind of video vlog style. I'm gonna just go through sort of my really amateur setup and come on, figure it out. This is weird. I don't like looking at myself or listening to myself. Anyway, I'll just show you my sort of setup, how I started, where I'm at for the eBay store, my Singles store, and show you the chaos that is the day-to-day of trying to run a small singles business. So yeah, I'm gonna flip this around so you don't have to look at me, my dumb mug. So, like, this is the sort of the chaos that ensues. In that sucker there is some cards I picked up this weekend. Not a crazy buy by any means, but and this is like sorted, not sorted really. Some of my supplies, nice Nelco printer. I should probably get my Amazon affiliate links going again. So this printer's pretty great for doing my ship track labels. You gotta have a laser printer. I know it's so 2000s, but I find it much easier to print my pick list off on this computer rather than going through my phone. I tried it through my phone today and it was a nightmare. But yeah, must have there. But anyway, when I started listing, like, I'll show you. So I've got my BCW tray here with my various cards. There's some cool things there, okay? Not bad. But yeah, so it's been a learning process for me, really. So I got the tray because I knew I would need one, and I divvy it up sort of by condition. So this is all damage cards, and typically I have my hits. In these guys, I go reverse hollows and then non-hollows. And then we move on to HP, MP, LP. This says near mint, but I've made it sort of my VLP. And I do a separate stack for near mint stuff, and I try to list my near mint stuff first. But what I started with is, like, seriously, when you list on eBay, all you need is your phone. But you basically, I put the card down, get some good lighting, then I take pictures. I take the whole card, and then I do the four corners, and then I flip it over and do the same. And that's fine at the start, but if you want to expedite the process and get through thousands of cards, and do, I mean, any sort of volume in terms of getting up and going, because my goal is to get over 10,000 cards listed, and just try to expedite that process. So to do that, you simply can't do it on your phone in any sort of efficient manner. And what you've probably heard from other tubers and people that do this full time and have been doing it way longer than I have is, oh man, you waste a lot of time with busy work that doesn't really make you money or help inch you forward, which can be super frustrating. So I wanted to minimize things like the listing of cards, the time it took for that. So here's what I did. I took my card, individual pictures with the phone, individual listing one at a time, took 2 to 3 minutes a card. And even then you're not getting a bunch of item specifics into it at that point, and the app is glitchy and stuff, and it's frustrating. So I would do that. I came over here and I just started alphabetically. So I had, there's nothing like crazy going on in here. But let's take out a cool stack. So this is stuff I originally listed months ago. And you can see I've labeled them, condition on the corner, because in case I get duplicates or something, things like that. So all of these were listed one at a time manually with the phone, and that's fine. But then after I do a batch, I sort them alphabetically. I came back over here to my bin, and I put them where they were supposed to go. Now, if I already had, 40 cards that started with the letter M, and I was batching in 5 to 10 more M's. Now I got to go through all these alphabetically and slot them into the right spot, and that's just incredibly inefficient. And quite honestly, it doesn't make the picking process a whole lot easier. I mean, you can obviously thumb through to find Marowak, for example, or Mawile, Mewtwo, that kind of thing. But the amount of time it took to do all of that, it just wasn't worthwhile. If I can list 20 to 30 cards in an hour, and then I'm sorting them into here for another 5-10 minutes, not efficient. And then at the end of the day, you know, you do an 8-hour day and you got 150, 160 cards to show for it. So thanks to Pokemon Steven, went to the Rico FI 8170. This bad boy can fit so many cards inside of it. So this is the feeder. Can expand, contract. Anyway, to the width of a card, that's great. Put a stack on there. So for example, let me just, I don't know. I'll take this stack. I put them upside down, face first, into the feeder. I boot this sucker up. I open the software called Paper Stream Capture on the desktop. And then I scan. I updated all my settings to be more appropriate for cards, because they have some color correction stuff in their software, which you do not want when you're doing this. I don't want it to try to correct whitening on edges to blue, because it's dishonest, misinformation, misleading to customers looking at cards and stuff online. So high quality scans. Try not to let its AI do any editing or anything to them. I just want them to be raw images, good quality, so people understand what they're buying. And you combine that with TCG Automate, or I think Card Uploader now, and you can create batches. So my first batch through the scanner was just non-hollows, some cheaper stuff because I wanted to test it out. And it was cheaper stuff all in the same condition, which I found super helpful. But like an idiot, it created a batch and a SKU, and it gave each card a SKU, but then I sorted them alphabetically. As you can see, A, B, B, that kind of thing. Trainers were at the front. And that doesn't help for the picking process either. So I quickly got away from that. And so then we get to, let's call it batch 7. So these cards all run through the scanner at once. I drag and drop the scanned images into TCG Automate. I let it guess what it thinks all the cards are. I go through, I correct it. I can update quantities. As you can see, there's a bunch of Charmanders. And then, so for instance, Lost Remover will come out as, because this was my 7th batch, it comes out as Pokey 0007001. So that's the first card in the batch. So when I make a sale, it'll show up on my awaiting shipment page. I can sort by custom SKU, and then it will arrange my cards by that. And so if it says, hey, you have you sold Pokey 00023 number 59, and it's a Vikavolt or something, I can thumb through quickly, knowing that 59 is sort of in the middle of the batch, and I can grab it, and that's fine. So that's how I switched that up. Sorry, I've been power cleaning for the last hour, so still catching my breath because I'm an out of shape blob from the holidays. So I found some success with that. So I organized them by condition and by finish, reverse hollow, non-hollow, hollow, or like a hit. And then I will run through a batch together through the scanner and then into TCG Automate. So like, let's say Poke 0007 is like all full art trainers. And I try to batch them like that. I've got some Japanese stuff, a couple batches of that. I'll sleeve some of the more valuable stuff, but the less valuable stuff I'm not sleeving when I first put it in. Cards are more resilient than you think they are for the most part. That's why a lot of these aren't sleeved. And then I sleeve them when I go to ship them. But the higher value stuff, after it runs through the scanner, I put it back in a fresh sleeve. I don't put it in the sleeve that it was in because I'm OCD in that regard. I don't reuse sleeves. I buy bucket loads of sleeves. And today I probably went through 300 sleeves, something like that. So that's fun. But yeah, so that's kind of my process for batching and listing cards a bit more efficiently with the scanner in this process. Of course, I'm sorting by finish and condition first, and then when I run it through the scanner, I put it into TCG Automate. It'll look up what it thinks every card is. I would venture that it's probably, depending on the finish of the card, like reverse holos are the most inaccurate, but like full arts and things like that is pretty accurate. So I would say on average it's maybe 70% accuracy in my experience, which is super helpful. And then the other 30% I can quickly search in the software, update it, and then I search all the cards on ebay.ca because the Canadian market's very different than the market price that TCG Automate shows me in American dollars. I price them, and then what you do is you export a CSV file, which is helpful. You upload the CSV file to your eBay, and that includes all the pictures, and away you go. They're all listed. I throw them into my big box of cards under their appropriate header, and Bob's your uncle, which is kind of nice. So that's how I've done that. I've gotten into the reverse holos lately. So holos and reverse holos are this one, and that one. Some of this stuff is listed, some of it's not. Those are holos from Scarlet Violet I don't overly care about. And I've got a bunch of stuff here that I still gonna, when you have a dog that sheds a bit, hair gets around places. So I got a bunch of stuff here. Still got a list, not a ton of it is high priority. This stuff's probably up there. But I got random Yu-Gi-Oh from a lot I bought, a bunch of non-holo stuff from older eras that I'm gonna get to, a bunch of random energies. These are older, like Fire Red Leaf Green type era stuff from a big binder I bought. I think I went through the hits, but I didn't go through the non-holos. I'm sure there's some cool stuff in there, but I'll get through that eventually. What else we got? That's the setup, the Cookie Monster to keep me going. Today I will live in the moment unless it's unpleasant, in which case I will eat a cookie. Truer words have never been spoken. And then Seattle sports because I'm into the Seahawks. And then over here I've got my shelves. I'm thinking I'm going to move, some of this stuff is getting put away into storage, but I'm going to move these behind to here. I'm going to move this table, I think, so that my YouTube background is a little nicer. I got a cool LED strip down there somewhere that I was going to set up too. But just some of my stuff. Like these two bad boys I should probably list soon. But what'll probably happen is I'll probably not list them and I'll bring them to Collectopia to vend at my table. So I want some stuff there. And I think the stuff at this valuation I'm probably more likely and willing to sell or trade in person, which would be cool. Pulled the Charizard, pulled the Gengar, bought the Mewtwo and graded the Mewtwo. And I just got some not older, but some cool booster boxes and stuff. The Piece de Resistance, Cosmic Eclipse, not bad. Earthbound to the Moon, baby. Yeah, and then my Chinese and Japanese shelf. Just stuff I like. I mean, they're Chinese cards, but whatever. I just got some random stuff here. I really need to do a better job of cleaning this up. There's the boom mic for the podcast. Here's one for you. I was so hesitant at first with this, but just get a label printer, like a good label printer. This Brother one, QL800, just get it. You're printing hundreds of labels a week, and I'm not writing that crap out, and I'm not finicking with a $20 crappy label printer. This thing's easy. I can copy it from eBay, the person shipping address from eBay. You go to the order screen, copy it, plug it into the Brother software, print it, and now it's on the buyer to have the correct address. I didn't make too many mistakes early on handwriting them, but I made, I think, one or two where I maybe omitted like an apartment number or something. Pokebucks. Nippon Ginkgo, 10,000 yen. Kind of cool. I love this little piece. But that's just, yeah. Anyway, random. So this is kind of the Gong Show. Believe it or not, there was a lot more cards in this tray this weekend, and the last 3-4 days, I tried to work through it all, and I got there, and now it's about refilling it. And I'm going through the 2 collections I bought recently, listing those on eBay, but it's never ending, guys. So yeah, maybe this helped you a little bit in terms of how you want to sort cards, organize cards, what items you could buy. The scanner is quite expensive, but I tell you, it's going to pay off in spades. The time that you save using this bad boy is worth so much more than the cost of this. I bought one of these refurb for about 900 Canadian. So try to find a refurb model if you can. Yeah, if you're serious about this, there's so much work even with using this leveraging technology to benefit you. There's still so much busy work that goes into this. And if you're constantly trying to get ahead in terms of having more cards, more dollar value in your shop, you have to use this. You'll never be able to keep up manually. And maybe that's not true. I'm sure you could with your phone, but I mean, you're working 7 a.m. to midnight every day, endlessly hunched over your desk, scanning cards, taking pictures of cards, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But, and then there's something to be said for trying to keep your space relatively clean, and my space is not that clean, but I tell you, it gets so much worse some days. But yeah, hope this was somewhat helpful. Let me know what's going on with your shop, what troubles you run into. If you want, me to dive into my eBay store kind of in the background to show you some of the things that I do to make stuff a little more efficient, or going through the process with TCG Automate or things like that for listing. There is a heavy upfront cost for this stuff. Like, we're talking over $1,000 for a scanner. The TCG Automator card uploader software is a few $100 a year. Label printers, shipping supplies. For the love of God, people, when you buy shipping supplies, don't just buy like a 10-pack or a 25-pack of bubble mailers on Amazon. I mean, at the start, whatever, but it's destroying your margins. You got to buy at least 500 envelopes at a time. If I can get this to work. 500 envelopes at a time at least. I buy 500 bubble mailers at a time at least, and I get my cost down to about 30 cents a bubble mailer, which is huge. Stuff like that can really erode stuff. In Canada, try to find stamps a bit cheaper. Something I do is I look on Facebook a lot, but you got to beware of fakes. Don't be afraid to buy the stuff in higher quantities than 25. You go on Amazon and you're paying $1 or more a bubble mailer, but why do that when you can go on eBay or another large supplier that's going to charge you 30 cents a pop, all in? Like, the difference is huge. We talk about, like, I'm doing, in terms of just bubble mailers, I think today I used 30 bubble mailers and like 10 cardboard boxes and, I don't know, 80 to 100 envelopes or something. Like, that adds up. If you're doing even 50 bubble mailers a week and you can save 60 to 70 cents a bubble mailer, we're talking, $35 a week in savings just on shipping supplies. So just don't be afraid to spend a little more. That might mean you have less money for inventory at the start, but that's not a huge deal per se, because you'll be surprised if you're ramping up how quickly that stuff gets used. I bought cases of penny sleeves and top loaders, paid more than I want to, so maybe I can get a better deal on those here down the road, but trimming down the cost by buying bulk on your supplies is important. If you're treating this as a business, you need to do that. You need to use economies of scale and bulk purchases to make things more affordable on your end so that the margins are better, so that you can actually make a proper go of this, whether it is to keep and reinvest all the money in the business, or if it's to maximize what you can take out if you're at a point where it's sustainable enough that you can take out some income and still grow or stay around the same size if you're happy with that level of income in your inventory. So you gotta cut costs where you can without cutting costs that impact the end consumer, is what I would say. It's important to me that here, I'll show you another thing. It's important to me that, so we've got like these things. I don't know why my camera's looking up. So these cardboard guys, okay, I'm still learning this, bear with me. So these are pretty decent quality ones you can get on Amazon. Now they are like maybe 20 cents a pop. So not ideal. I know a lot of people reuse cardboard boxes and things like that. But I'm finding these for cheaper now in bulk purchases. And if you're the end consumer and you're opening your package and it's bubble mailed, it's a nice cardboard sandwich, it's like team bagged or one-touch bagged, top loaded, all that stuff. That goes a long way, but making sure that you minimize the costs on your supplies to your end, where the margins still make sense, they're decent, and the end consumer is really happy, and it still comes across as like a professional operation. Because if you're a business, after all, one thing that annoys me and maybe annoys other people is when they open up a package and it's like one of these cut up to protect the cards or something, right? I get it, it's free, and businesses rely on margins and stuff, but like if I open an envelope where I spent $200 on some cards and they're sandwiched between cereal box cardboard, I don't love it. I don't love the appearance of it or anything like that. So look into effective ways that you can ship safely, securely, that the customer will be happy with, that best represent you as a person, as a business, is one thing I would do. But look to buy bulk, and always explore new avenues for reducing the cost of those. So I'll be moving to other cardboard sandwich sleeve things for vending machines that are, I would say, thinner, more affordable, that are closer to the 5 cents a pop, 10 cents a pop range. And then that way the end consumer is still pretty happy that they get like a cardboard sleeve. It's not sort of like recycled or reused, even though, I don't know, I guess there's an argument for recycling stuff. Here I am talking around into recycling cereal boxes. But yeah, hope this was helpful. If you like this style of content, it's weird for me. I don't know. I don't look into a camera very often and speak. But I want to test this out, test the microphone out before I vend and do some shows like that. So we'll see how that goes. Some vendor POV stuff maybe at the biggest show I'll ever do. That seems like a appropriate first time to do this, hey? About a month from now. Yeah, other than that, shout out Meryl, TCG, who comments and asks a question about sourcing cards and making a video on that. I would love to do a video on that. I gotta be honest, I'm not very good at sourcing cards. I don't have a platform where I can source cards effectively like a lot of other places do. There's so much competition. If I just committed to doing this even 5 years ago, I think I'd be laughing right now, but I started at a difficult time, and that's on me. But sourcing cards is tricky. Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist are all there. I'll get a website up and going to see if that helps me a bit. I'm making this content, honestly, for part of that, to build trust with people so that they would buy from me, but also to build relationships with people where they would consider me to be someone that they would want to sell a collection to. Because that's a big step for people, selling a collection. Something that they pour their heart and soul and money into. I think that's a big thing, and I don't think, I mean, a lot of people just treat it transactionally, which I get, it's a transaction. But like if I was ever selling my collection, it would mean a lot to me if it went to someone that valued it, valued me, valued my taste, and things like that. So maybe in the near future I'll do a sourcing video. I'm not very good at sourcing. Oh man, it's a challenge. Never-ending challenge. I think that's the biggest uphill battle for people in this. You got the margins, which can be thin, so it's a volume game, but then you've got the sourcing of the cards, which has never probably been more difficult than the last year. There's so many cards out there, but being able to source cards at, 70, 75% is still really challenging. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. This video's gone way too long, 25 minutes. If you're watching, I don't know, you must have like passed out or something, because there's no way you'd still be watching this. Anyway, thank you. See you on the next one. Bye.